Greetings, YouTube. 7 years ago, the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, granted a bit of provisional permission to the Bayer Corporation to release a new pesticide. They said that under the conditions it was being released, that Bayer had to put in a report in 2004 showing that the pesticide was not a danger to the bee population here in the United States. They were allowed to push that back to 2007, or forward to 2007, I should say. And when they finally submitted the report, surprise, surprise, Bayer said that the pesticide was in fact not a danger at all to the bee population. Well, eventually the EPA scientists checked the report, said that it was not properly done, that the methodology did not actually show that the pesticide was not harmful to bees. And then the EPA released the pesticide for use anyway. And we've had some bee problems here in the Western world. Not conclusively that it's all due to this pesticide, mind you, but there is some evidence that it could have been helped along by this pesticide. Now, for the math challenged of us in the world, 7 years ago would have placed this report and the request and research and all that stuff during the Bush administration. Now, the Bush administration was known for deregulation and also for just blatantly ignoring the regulations that existed on the books and that hadn't been deregulated. And as the Bush administration itself admitted, they didn't really operate within a fact-based reality. That was left for the liberal progressives of the world. The conservatives of that era really pretty much went on how they felt about things. And they felt that Bayer should be able to get this pesticide released into the world. I'm sure there was also money involved, but that's just me. I've been known to be a cynic. Now, I realize that in the real world, we need pesticides. But when you're going to use a pesticide, you better darn well make sure that it's not a danger to the environment beyond the insects that it's been designed to block. Those are the only life forms that should be adversely affected by that pesticide under normal usage purposes. Yes, I'm aware that any chemical in large enough quantities will hurt just about anything. Heck, you can die from taking too much water, okay? But if you just release a pesticide, and under the normal guidelines, it starts to harm the insects that we need to keep our entire agriculture and economy going, that's a problem. If your research is being more impacted by political concerns rather than scientific, that's a problem. Now, the beautiful thing about this, of course, is that there will probably have been all kinds of political cutouts. There will never be any way to trace who actually made the decisions involved in this process. There's always going to be a layer of plausible deniability. Everyone will be able to go, no, it was him that did it. No, it was he that over there, he did it. Or no, she was the one that handled the research. So no one will ever actually ever be justice for this, which is a crying shame, not the least of which the bees would probably really appreciate it. Because, you know, we need bees. Without bees, a lot of the foodstuffs that we consume will not get properly pollinated, which means we won't have those foodstuffs. Now, this argument for trying more organic farming, you know, organic farming is not going to be able to produce the levels of food that we need to sustain our society. It's also going to be a good reason to research more agricultural diversity and less monoculture. Monoculture refers to the fact that a lot of our plants, and a lot of the corn out there we grow for human consumption, it's like only a handful of strains are used. While there are all kinds of strains of corn that could be used, by using more genetic strains of corn, more variety, you then make it more difficult for any one insect to really adversely affect everything all at the same time. You also cut back on weeds and other things like that. Genetic diversity is a good thing, folks. Having just one type of gene out there and that you're relying on is not a good thing. If you'd like to look into that, how really bad it can, I recommend the book "And No Leaves of Grass." it's depressing as all get out. The British made a movie, I believe, as well. It's just also depressing as all get out. It deals with a virus which just starts to wipe out grain. And without humans are doomed. Or at least most of them. So we need bees. We need diverse agriculture. We need to move away from monoculture. But we need to make sure that the pesticides we do use are tested. Now, I know that there are like 50,000 chemicals used in American food and commercial products, and only about 300 of them have been properly tested, but a lot of them are probably completely benign, and it's expensive and lengthy to test each of those chemicals in isolation. But we still need to do the research, and we need to make sure that politicians keep their noses away from the research. No politician should have anything to do with research other than once handed the report, making a decision what they think should be done with it. And that decision should be put before the American people. It should not be hidden behind doors, back room, with lobbyists involved, when decision making is not done out in the sunshine. Sunshine is good for people and politics. So, on behalf of the bees, I would really appreciate it if the U.S. government would start testing more things, make sure those tests are done fairly and correctly, the reports are put forth in peer-reviewed journals, if we actually use scientific due diligence. The bees would appreciate it, I would appreciate it, and I'm sure that the American people would appreciate it, because we'd really like to keep eating and breathing.